Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Live, number 91. I am Mike Tedesco.
And I am. Oh, sorry.
I was setting it up for you. I feel like I'm terrible with this. If I'm like, I'm looking at it's just not right. Anyway, Roy Nemer, SmackDown recapper extraordinaire, Roy Nemer. Roy, how are you this lovely evening?
You're too kind. Mike. I'm doing well. Pay-per-view ended on a high note. We're live with everybody here. What's not to love?
Yeah. Money in the Bank. We're talking about the 2021 Money in the Bank featuring the return of a paid audience to wrestling. And yes, we got this at WrestleMania. We had a taste of it on SmackDown on Friday. But man, there were a few things that happened tonight. You know, like a couple of like nice surprises, a couple of things that are like, but there was an attempt tonight to try to give people some surprises and try to build some new stars. And you know, we're going to talk about them. We're going to dissect them. We're going to talk about each decision, and but without question, it can't be understated how important the crowd was to making those moments. And like, there's such a difference between seeing people actually cheer, jump, be merry, be happy, have a beer in their hand and make them even happier, and react to something going on rather than like someone pressing a button and making people cheer or boo or whatever. It just, even matches that were dead, it's like, well, dead is a reaction. You know, this is not interesting them. And I'd rather that than watch a match that I know sucks, that they're pumping in a ton of cheers for, because it's real. That's real. Like that's what's been missing, man. I mean, like, I was watching this show tonight and I was pretty damn excited. How'd you feel about it?
Oh, same. I mean, like you said, we got a taste of it at WrestleMania. I got a taste of it just a couple of days ago on SmackDown, and I thought SmackDown was catered to the fans. Like, the matches itself were not particularly good, but the fans, you know, they catered to them, and that's what made it good. And it was a little bit tonight, you know, we got a new champion in Charlotte. We got the return, obviously John Cena, Big E cashing in. So there were a lot of moments that, had it been in the Thunderdome, like, you know, Big E winning in the Thunderdome, it's still something. It's still good storyline wise, but obviously doesn't have any of the impact that if, you know, if the fans were there.
Exactly. There's there's like real validation and like, you know, not just like, okay, well, this is the guy that they're pushing, and we know that they're pushing him because they're pressing the cheer button 15,000 times. It's like people actually reacted positively to a lot of these things. And it's like, well, this is not just what the company wants; the people want it too. So I just. It was a breath of fresh air. It's been, I think I remember I saw a little bit of SmackDown. Michael Cole goes, it's been 70 weeks. It's like a year and a half almost of just nothing. No, you know, SmackDown hasn't been in front of fans. Raw still hasn't been in front of fans. They're in front of fans tomorrow night. And, you know, WrestleMania was in front of fans kind of, but like there were still restrictions then. And this is the first one where it's just like all out, sold out arena, balls to the wall, no masks, you know, like just do your thing. Pandemic, schmandemic. It's where we're going, you know? And that was really refreshing. Now, of course, we're going to talk about the show, but real quick, I'll just run down what happened on this show. And then we'll talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and we're also going to talk about Peacock, too. Peacock's the worst shit on the planet. Okay.
I heard. We didn't get that as much in Canada. But anyways, we'll talk about it in a bit.
Because you have the network still.
Yeah, we're still on the network.
You dog. So jealous. All right. So the kickoff match for Money in the Bank featured the Usos, Jimmy and Jay Uso, defeating Rey and Dominic Mysterio to win the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. So all those people that were like, well, that's it for Jimmy Uso. He got his like third or fourth DWI. That's the end of him. He'll never be used again. He's going to be put in the back. He's the tag team champion now. They did at one point in the show have Reigns. Like, if you're in the know, they addressed it tonight. they addressed it. For the main card, it's all on one streaming network, but we have a kickoff show and a main card, whatever. Nikki Ash, who has the dumbest acronym on earth because almost a superhero. It should be AAS, as Nikki As. And it does sound like they're saying Nikki Ass when they say her name. I just don't understand like this whole, like they were really, really pushing the Ash thing tonight and the almost a superhero thing. They were really, really pushing this thing hard tonight. But as many criticisms I have of this dumbass gimmick, and as much as it reminds me of Otis winning the Money in the Bank match last year, and we all know what happened to Otis and his Money in the Bank, went to The Miz. Nikki Ash won the 2021 Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So she's Miss Money in the Bank over Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Natalia Tamina, Zelina Vega, Naomi, and Asuka. So Nikki Ash is is the contract holder there. Like Nikki.
Yeah, I don't know how many people predicted her to win, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Let it play out. We'll see what happens. AJ Styles and Omos defeated the Viking Raiders to retain the Raw Tag Team Championship. Bobby Lashley destroyed Kofi Kingston. He didn't defeat him. He destroyed him by submission in a match where Kofi Kingston got no offense in whatsoever to retain the WWE Championship. Obviously setting Bobby Lashley up for something big. Charlotte Flair defeated Rhea Ripley by submission to win the Raw Women's Championship. So I think they said she's a 13-time champion now. That's a lot of titles.
Yeah, 13, 14. She's up there, double digits.
She's up there, yeah. But I mean, like, it's like, oh, she's going to break her father's record. It's like, yeah, but her father held those cumulatively over like 20 years, not 5. Well, whatever. That's the day and age we live in now. Big E defeated Kevin Owens, Riddle, Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, John Morrison, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre to win the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. That was a good one. And finally, Roman Reigns defeats Edge with a little help from Seth Rollins to retain the WWE Universal Championship. And after that match, John Cena returned and seemingly set up a SummerSlam match with Roman Reigns. And I thought it was a mistake, like putting Reigns and Edge on last, but then I was like, once he beat him and they had Seth Rollins, interfere. I said to Victoria, my brother-in-law, who was here before, I was like, Cena's coming out. He's got to be coming out. Like they're not gonna do the WrestleMania thing again and send everybody home. Like that was lame.
No, yeah, especially like I think it was obvious once. Edge got out of the ring, Edge and Seth fought out, and then Roman was standing there and he grabbed the mic. Once Heyman gave him that mic, that was the cue for, okay, I've seen this enough times to know that we're not done here. Something's about to happen. It makes sense now why they made it, why it went on last.
That was my exact thought too. I was like, they're doing a mic now? Like they're gonna do a promo? Nah, there's no way he's getting through this promo. No way. It was either going to be like Brock Lesnar or John Cena, and my money was on Cena. And I was so happy. But we all kind of knew. If you're in the know a little bit, you knew that Cena was coming out. So, Roy, there's a lot on this show. If you could pick one thing, what was your favorite thing about this show and why?
It's got to be Big E winning Money in the Bank for me.
Right.
I'm selfish. Obviously, he's on SmackDown, so I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. But definitely Big E winning it based on merit. Obviously, he really deserves it. If you look at the talent that was in that match, I mean, who else deserves it? Are you going to go with Drew McIntyre, who has been in the main event for well over a year now? Are you going to go with Seth Rollins, who they kind of tease? Are you going to go with John Morrison? So, just based off of like a process of elimination, Big E for me anyways made the most sense. And he just deserves it. And there's so much that they could do with him. Obviously very good on the mic. Whoever it is, whether it's Big E versus Cena or Big E versus Roman, down the line, you can have some incredible promos, especially with Roman if Heyman's there. So you have Roman, Heyman, and Big E. And if it's Cena, I mean, hey, Cena and Big E, you can't really go wrong there. So for me, it was a very good match, probably the match of the night, in my opinion, and the right guy won, which hasn't always been the case lately. So, and like I said, on top of that, it's a SmackDown guy, and I'm being biased in that sense. So for me, it's got to be the men's Money in the Bank with Big E winning.
Hey, Raw got Nikki Ash, man. You know, you think you're all special? I have Nikki Ash. Better watch out.
I'm jealous.
It's the battle of the brands right here. This is it.
Yeah.
Coming ahead right here. I got to say, when I was a little perturbed by the start of this match, because right before the match happened, they were showing some like commercials or whatever on the network, which doesn't make any sense that they're showing commercials on a network for the network. It's like, I never understood that. But the stream on Peacock all across this country. At first I thought it was me, and I was like, oh, it just like started lagging and like punching in and out, then it would go black, and then it would come back on, and then it would go out again. I was like, oh, let me just restart my router. Maybe like something happened. I don't know. I mean, like there wasn't like any weather events or anything like that going on. So I restart my router and I turn it back on. I'm like, uh-oh. And then I was like, we paid the internet, right? Like, what's going on here? And then I go on Twitter and it's like trending Peacock. I was like, that's not good. That's not good. No. And I mean, luckily, like my one criticism for tonight, I don't, you know what? I want to save it, but I'll get back to it. Was like the pacing of this show and the timing of this show. It's like things just almost everything went on for like a little too long, except for like the Money in the Bank matches. They were just like just enough. Like everything was like the women's match was just enough. The men's match was just enough. It was like enough car crash to like get you, keep you happy, but not enough where you're like, okay, enough for this now. But like the entrances took like 15 minutes to get through. Like 15 minutes of guys just coming out and they're like showing replays of like stuff they've done in the past. And I was like, I could see that was going on, through the Peacock craziness. And everybody on Twitter was going crazy. Like, Peacock sucks. They're definitely putting the cock in Peacock. It's like, like terrible. And so like, I like missed like the first, like, I think like 2 minutes of the match. But the very first thing I saw when it came back on was like Big E spiking himself on his head coming out from that spear. That was terrifying.
I thought he legitimately injured himself when he speared McIntyre through the ropes, like off the ring apron. That looked nasty. And the fact that they did not show a replay and Big E and Drew were out of it for like 5 minutes, and we didn't see them. I'm like, shit, one of them got injured.
I hate that move so much. I've been saying it for years, and I'm like a broken record about it now. But it's like, it's just the dumbest move, and especially now that like they're giving him such a push. Like it doesn't like make sense to me that like they would give him something where it's like just a centimeter here or just like, oh, my foot gets caught on the rope over here, break your sternum on the ring apron, spike yourself on your head on the outside of the ring, blow out your shoulder. Just that might be the least of what could happen if something goes wrong with that move. No, I think he does it like far too often. It's like almost every like big match that he has, it's like, oh, spear through the rope. It's like it's gonna come back to bite him one day. Remember Ivar got neck surgery just doing a suicide dive that everybody does every friggin' night.
Yeah. And Big E does it, I mean, fairly often, and when he does it, you could tell what he's doing, and he knows what he's doing, and he pulls it off very well. Tonight was bad, and as Andrew mentioned it in the chat, he said there were some close calls tonight in regards to the injuries. It wasn't just Big E, but yeah, we've spoken about it in the past. You've spoken about it in the past regarding the suicide dive. There's no need for it. Like, I get it. Fans are back and you want to try something, but they have been cutting down on it, at least on SmackDown. But there's no need for something like that.
They did it every night.
Anything else?
Every night in the Thunderdome had a damn suicide dive. It's like crazy. I'll never forget like Montez Ford doing a big somersault senton like outside the ring, completely overshooting and just hit the ramp. All you heard was this big thud. There was nobody in the performance center. It was like so wild. I was like, these stupid freaking dives are gonna kill somebody one day. But actually the one who took the most punishment in this match by far was Kevin Owens. I mean, like, what? Like, like, is Kevin Owens like on a crusade to like never be able to play with his kids without any like discomfort ever again? Like like he got suplexed onto the edge of a ladder. Like that does, like, if you visualize it and really think about it, if you didn't see it, it just sounds like, how do you even do that? Like, it sounds ridiculous. And then he gets powerbombed out of the ring through a ladder bridge, like, and there's like landed right on his neck. It was like, what the hell? Like, he's a big dude and he's a great performer, and I don't think he needs to do it. I've seen him take so many big bumps through the years, you know, like you saw, like you were recap that great match with him and Sami Zayn a couple weeks ago, where he got, you know, pushed off the ring post through the tables. Yeah, big bump on just like a SmackDown, right? Just like a random SmackDown. I've seen him, you know, get chokeslammed by Braun Strowman off a ladder through a whole bunch of tables, off the top of a cage, on a ramp. He's done it all. Like, damn.
Even 2 nights ago on SmackDown, he climbed the ladder, jumped through the announce table, and he does, you know, one of those things. The thing with Kevin Owens that I always fear the most when it's him or Sami Zayn, because they're the two that tend to do this. It's you know, the power bombs on the ring apron.
It just looks miserable.
And they did the hell, like, whenever they're in the match, especially against each other, they always do it. Luckily, Owens didn't do it tonight, but the moves that he did do, or the bumps that he did take, were arguably much worse than those ring apron bumps. And I don't know if he's trying to be like the next Mick Foley, but like on a toned down version, but he doesn't seem to care very much about his body.
Yeah, no regard. I mean, he's going for the moment. And I guess, like, if you want to have that moment, if you want to get people talking, I guess that's what you do. You know, like you got to be over the top. Especially, it's so hard to stand out in professional wrestling these days for all the reasons that we just mentioned. Everybody does a dive. Everybody does, you know, like Liv Morgan is doing a double knee face buster, which Asuka also does, and she did that to Asuka. It's like everybody has like almost the same move set almost. So how do you stand out? You got to be crazier than the rest of them.
Yeah,
you know,
everyone does frog splashes.
It's like he's crazy. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ray?
Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I was saying, like, everyone does a frog splash. Everyone on SmackDown does a frog splash. Tonight, the main event, Spear versus Spear, Roman and Edge. It's everyone, like you said, everyone has the same moveset, and I guess credit to Kevin Owens, he is trying to do something to stand out, but like, there's got to be a different way.
Yeah, I think so. But again, I mean, you know, like that's the stuff that I remember from the match, though. And like usually, like you see them do a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and it's like, okay, it just kind of like blends into the ether. So I can't say it didn't work. I'm more just saying, like, I like you know, like, you just follow him on Twitter. He seems like a great guy, loves his family. And it's like, I want him, you know, like, I'm so happy that he's doing that, you know, like, for like my entertainment, you know, like that's dedication to your craft. You know what I mean? Like, I love, that's why like Mick Foley was one of my favorites of all time, because like of the way you just, you know, you go all out there every night. You know, somebody bought a ticket to see me, they're going to get their money's worth. You know, that's. And that's how it should be for everybody. But, you know, like some guys that aren't as, you know, athletically gifted or as genetically gifted, you know, have to go the extra mile. You're like, how did Mick Foley do it? I'm going to just start dropping elbows on a concrete floor. How's Kevin Owens doing it? I'm just going to take the craziest bumps that nobody could even conceive of. And that's what's going to make me memorable. And you know what? Damn it. That's the stuff that I remember. That's the stuff that I remember. You know, like I remember Big E's because it almost killed him, and I remember Kevin Owens because it was just a spectacular move. So it's working, you know, but the fact that it's working is also a negative.
And
do more.
Yeah, and look, he never phones it in, right? He never phones it in. He's one of, you know, to a certain degree, he's one of several people that don't phone it in. But the fact that he has to do those things to stand out, it just shows you how the product is these days, as opposed to how, you know, maybe not how good or how bad he is, but just the product in general. It's, you got to actually do something crazy to stand out, just because everyone does the same shit. Right.
And also, I think if there weren't scripted promos, people would have more of an opportunity to stand out based on personality. But I'm not going to fall down that rabbit hole tonight. I'm not, but because this was a good show. But that's part of the problem too, is that, like now no one's standing on the merits of their character. So you have to, like, everything has to happen in the ring. But yeah, Roy, that was a great match. It was just enough going back and forth. They set up a Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal SummerSlam match, and if you told me in January that that's what Drew McIntyre would be doing at SummerSlam, I'd be like, give me some of what you're doing. It's like I never pictured that one. But I mean, that's one way to get him out of that match. Veer and Shanky coming in and attacking him and dragging him away after Jinder Mahal beats him with a chair.
Yeah, I'm not excited. I mean, I'm not excited for the storyline. I'm not excited for Drew because he deserves better than this. Obviously, he was one of the maybe 2 or 3 guys that carried the company throughout the Performance Center or throughout the pandemic area. And now it's like, okay, well, look, we're not putting you in the title picture anymore. It's been a year and a half, which I totally understand. But don't stick him with Jinder. Like, send him to SmackDown or do something else with him. Not that.
Well, I mean, the draft is coming up soon, allegedly. We'll see what happens. But I mean, they got rid of a lot of people, and they need to just fill in those gaps. And I guess Jinder Mahal is a plug to fill a gap, I suppose. So that's that. But when Big E climbed that ladder though, and it was like abundantly clear after he hit that big ending on Rollins, when it was abundantly clear he was going to win, like that's the stuff that keeps me coming back. It's like I watch that, and then you hear the crowd reaction, and you're hearing a real genuine crowd reaction, not a crowd that was rained on, the first night of WrestleMania, and they're trying to find their groove again. Not a crowd that had to sit through Randy Orton versus The Fiend to open up the second night, and it just kind of bummed them out from there on out. I'm watching a crowd that's red hot. They know they're seeing a good show. Yes, some things went a little long, but they know they're seeing something special, and they responded in kind. And I got that feeling that I've been looking for, that feeling that's been missing for almost a year and a half. For a year and a half, can you believe it? I got the goosebumps again, man. I got goosebumps when he grabbed that briefcase. It was a special moment. You knew you were watching a special moment.
No, for sure. And the crowd was into it. The credit to the crowd. I mean, even the first match, when it was the women's Money in the Bank, the crowd was into it. They were hyped, and they were freaking hyped for this one, for the men's Money in the Bank. Obviously, bumps by Kevin Owens, as we spoke about. But like you said, Big E, when it was clear, when he grabbed that briefcase, it was, just like you said, a genuine pop. It was a genuine, like, we're happy for this guy. We're glad we're here for it. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone in that match deserved it more than him. Right.
And also I got to give a shout out to Ricochet too, because he did some spectacular stuff too. But
that was the only reason why he was there.
Yeah, exactly. Him and John Morrison. They were just there. Morrison hit one thing though that was like, oh, God, nice try. Go back to the drawing board on that one. He did like a double 50. I don't even know what the hell. It looked like he came up short. There was a lot of coming up short on some big moves tonight. But I guess if you sometimes you go big and you crash and burn. But Ricochet, for Kevin Owens, where it's like, okay, that looked dangerous and it was dangerous. Ricochet does some dangerous stuff too. Like he has a lot. There's a small margin for error. Like when he got knocked off the ladder and he lands on the rope and then he does the big springboard to the outside. Very little room for error. But he's different in that he does dangerous things, but he looks like he's in complete control the entire time. And he's a special performer. And if they could stop trying to kill him by making him cut promos that they know he's bad at, they know it. It was abundantly clear his very first night when they tried to have him cut a promo backstage, and it was like, I remember being on Post Raw after that. And I was like, I said to Victoria, I was like, I hope they don't do that too much. If they just let the ring work do the talking, maybe get him a freaking manager. Maybe you have something there. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know, but I'd rather try than not.
No, for sure. And maybe for him, there's not much for him on Raw anymore. Obviously, we mentioned the draft, so maybe SmackDown in the future if you have him. I'm not saying have him fight Apollo Crews for the United States title, the Intercontinental title, but maybe a change of scenery. Like I said, put him with a mouthpiece, a manager, someone that could talk for him, because obviously he needs it. He's an incredible talent, but I don't think there's that much left for him to do on Raw.
Right. Now, of course, I'll give you my favorite moment of the evening. We gotta talk about John Cena. We have to talk about John Cena. We all knew he was coming back. I think we all kind of, it was almost like 100%, 90%, 100%, whatever, that he's going to be at SummerSlam. But still, like, I got goosebumps multiple times on one broadcast. I'm a happy wrestling fan right now. I'm a very happy wrestling fan. I know some people, are John Cena will trigger them because it's just like, they just, I was one of those guys, early on. I remember like in 2007, like they're shoving them down our goddamn throats. But that was, before I was like analyzing everything. Before I joined Wrestleview, I remember like that first year-long run that he had with the title from like 06 to 07 or whatever it was. And I was like, God, like enough with this fucking guy. I'm tired of it.
Superman.
Yeah, exactly. And there were still some things that he would do, like even after I joined Wrestleview, that I was just like, but like I cannot devalue anything that he did for that company. He gave his life to that company. Gave 20 years, or maybe a little less, 15 years of just sustained really, really great stuff. They've never built another one like him. I think he's the last guy that is truly a needle mover. Like, wherever he shows up, that's where the ratings go. If a house show circuit was dying, advertise John Cena on it, and he would fill it up. He could take a crummy, B pay-per-view like WWE Battleground and talk you into the arena. He did it to me on multiple occasions. Like, legit. I was like, I guess I'll, it's in the area, I'll buy a ticket. It's like, fine. Yeah. Although I don't really need much arm twisting. I'm not like one of those guys. But if you can't recognize that he is like one of the greatest of this era, and up there on the list of one of the greatest to ever do it. I don't know what the argument is anymore. It's almost like, Babe Ruth getting inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, but it wasn't unanimous. I'd love to know what the case was against Babe Ruth. It's like, what's the case against John Cena at this point? I've been seeing stuff like, John Cena's going to come back and he's going to go, he's going to go to SummerSlam, he's going to lose, and he's going to go back to Hollywood. That's not the point. The point is that John Cena doesn't need to do this at all now. He doesn't need to be there at all. He's making his money, but he still loves this company. And if he can help out and help them, get a big drawing in Las Vegas and kind of get them back on the right foot and get some good ratings heading into SummerSlam, like he's going to do it. I'll never forget the night that, like, it's solidified for me forever that John Cena was the GOAT. We went to a show, me and Victoria, when we were still dating. We weren't even engaged. It was 2012. I was getting ready to meet the Wrestleview guys over in Miami for WrestleMania 28, the first Rock and Cena. Mm-hmm. Cena was doing a movie at that time too. I think he was filming. I don't know. I forget if it was like WWE Studios or what movie it was. But he was in Cleveland or somewhere in the Midwest, and we're in Newark, New Jersey. Like to see a show at the Prudential Center, and John Cena was a Raw guy. Let's just keep that in mind. We went to go see SmackDown, and he's a Raw guy. Cena was at Raw, and they flew out to do his stuff. And we go see this SmackDown show, and they're setting up, WrestleMania. I remember, like, Daniel Bryan was in the main event. Sheamus was there, Miz, and a couple other guys. It was just like a regular SmackDown, forgettable. And then the show comes to an end, and, they bring out a steel cage. They're going to do a dark match main event. Okay, great. And they send out, I think they sent out Jack Swagger. Okay. And then all of a sudden, John Cena's music hits. He flew out to do a movie and then flew back to Newark, New Jersey to do a dark match on SmackDown.
Wow.
I mean, That's a company guy, man. That's just. He wasn't even advertised. It was like there was no reason for him to have done it, like none at all. I'm sitting here right now trying to think what could have been the reason that he needed to be there. Maybe they were gonna like plan the WrestleMania match after that. I don't know, but he showed up in freaking Newark, New Jersey to have a cage match against stupid Jack Swagger of all friggin' people. Like that's a goat, man. That's the goat.
No,
so
for sure.
To see him come out tonight. And, even though you knew it, I still got the goosebumps. You knew you were seeing something special. He gets in the ring with Roman Reigns, gives him the "you can't see me" thing, poses on the turnbuckle, sets up that SummerSlam match perfectly. So I love those angles where you don't need to say a word. Like remember Triple H and Undertaker, the first time they set up WrestleMania, he just comes out and they just look at the sign, no words necessary. And like tonight, no words necessary. You're talking about it, you're excited about it. I thought that was a great way to send people home because I thought the main event, the last part of the main event, I thought was pretty good. But for the most part, I mean, this show was already going long, and we're doing chin locks for like 5 minutes and just going back and forth, and they're doing chain wrestling. I was like, they're in a blood feud. Why can't they start it like Steve Austin and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13? The bell rings and they just spear each other and just start punching. Why are you doing chain wrestling when you want to kill each other?
Go
on, bro. I'm
sorry. Those were my thoughts. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
No, I was just gonna say those were my thoughts exactly. The bell rang and Roman's there, Edge is there, and I was fully expecting Edge to just go after Roman. And instead, we got a couple of minutes of them just talking shit, talking crap, and then Roman gets the best of him, then Edge gets the best of him. It was just like, okay, but Edge, you just had him in a crossface a couple of days ago. Roman, you were beating the crap out of him a couple of days ago. You guys fully hate each other. This has been going on since apparently before WrestleMania. Here it is, one-on-one. The fans are hyped. Like if you guys could have just started this with a fight. Anyways, but yeah. But look, as for Cena, I mean, like you said, for the most part, I think a lot of people saw it coming. But it doesn't make it it doesn't make it any less special because even the fact that we knew he was coming and you still reacted the way you did, you got goosebumps. I was like, holy shit, like John Cena, the pop that he got. And he's the last star that they have, period.
Yes.
No disrespect to Roman or Drew or Lashley or anyone else right now. But if you go by, let's say, generation, right? You had Hogan in that era. Then later, Bret to a certain degree, and Rock, Austin, Undertaker.
Say Shawn Michaels.
Mr. Higginbottom. But if you really look at it, I mean, aside from Cena, maybe Orton from that generation, but that's it. And who's a bigger star between Orton and Cena? It's got to be Cena.
Not even a question, Roy.
It's got to be Cena.
No comparison.
No. So Cena's out on his own from, I would say, 2005, 2006 until maybe 2015, 2016.
I think 2004. I remember WrestleMania 20. It was like, this guy's going to be like something special next year.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go 2004. So you're talking about 2004 till 2016, maybe?
Yeah, 16. He did have that run with Reigns in 2018 too. Yeah, and I think he also did something with Baron Corbin. I think in 2018, he was still around. Okay. He was still around.
All right, so let's go for 14 years. So during those 14 years, put Orton aside, Randy Orton aside, who comes close to John Cena?
I mean, Batista maybe.
It's
but in terms of sustained greatness like that,
no one.
Especially think about this. I saw a really neat stat, and I'm gonna see if I can just pull this up real quick.
Go for it. Go for it.
So Hulk Hogan at his, at the top of his run, Hogan would appear on television, in the 4 years or something like that, in a match maybe 20, 25 times in 4 years. Cena in 2010 had 46 matches on television. This is just an era where everybody gets overexposed. Now, yes, they're using Hogan to like drum up arena business. Like that was where the money was. Like television was just a means to get people into the arena. So like you don't give away your champion on TV, I suppose. Right. But now it's a different era. You have John Cena, who essentially has to be there every week, and he has to have a match on Raw every week to keep people watching. And he never. I mean, yes, there were certainly some times where it's like, okay, enough of the Superman act. Like can we get a little extra, an extra few layers? He did add those extra layers later in his career, which I don't think everybody really realizes. Like, like he gave a lot of opportunities to people during those like U.S. Open challenges. And he definitely went out of his way to like try to like add a few more wrinkles, but in an era where he has like 46 or 47 matches in 1 year on television, just on television, not pay-per-view. And he didn't get completely overexposed and it drove people away. People kept tuning in to see more of John Cena. That's a special character. That's a special guy. Because you go online and you look at like what people are saying about Roman Reigns. It's like, oh, I'm tired of the community theater thing. Like, I think Reigns is doing some of the best work that's been done in a long time, but it's not Cena level for whatever reason.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. And this is not a knock on Roman Reigns. Ever since he came back last August, I think August 29th or 30th, SummerSlam, he's been boss. He's been bossing SmackDown. Great matches, great on the mic, but not that John Cena level. Cena got hated on for many different reasons. The Superman act. Oh, he can't wrestle. He does 4 or 5 moves and 5-knuckle shuffle, this and that. Oh, F him, F this. He's burying people. Sure, maybe I'll agree for like 1% of that. Fine. But at the same time, he got people talking, and whether you liked him or you hated him, you wanted to see Cena in the ring either win or you wanted to see him get his ass kicked. And no one generates that anymore at all. Like, I mean, Nafis mentioned, Edge was over when I was still watching a decade ago. Sure, but if you're comparing Edge to Cena, and Edge has been in the game for significantly longer, since 98, 97, I guess?
Yeah.
Around that. If you look at Cena's return tonight and, Edge's return at the Rumble 2 years ago, you could definitely compare. Maybe even Edge was more than Cena, right? Maybe Edge's pop was more than Cena, but Edge was gone for a decade, and that was it.
And you thought he was done. You thought that
and you thought he was done.
Yeah.
Cena's just that's it. He's the last guy that they have. People want to see him, and I feel like a lot of the haters that he had 10 years ago are no longer his haters. They're his fans because they appreciate what he was able to do.
Especially when you watch the current product now, you can really appreciate John Cena and what he did. Yeah. So I mean that to me was the most special part for me, the most special part of the broadcast. It really was just a really great way just to kind of close it off, and it's like, we're back. We are back. And like you were saying, I thought that was a great point. There are some guys that are floating around there that WWE uses like in case of emergency. Like tomorrow they're going to break the glass and cart out old Bill Goldberg, to like face Bobby Lashley. It's like, whatever. You have Brock Lesnar, but I don't think Lesnar's interested in wrestling anymore. I really don't. I don't know if we ever see Brock Lesnar again. And if we do, it's going to be a gajillion dollars to get him in there. Cena's like the last super like I guess it's like Cena and Lesnar are the last superstars that are out there that can go, that you don't have to do a ton of smoke and mirrors to get them through it. Like Bill Goldberg, it's going to be like a minute long, and Lashley's going to hit him with like, the hurt. He's going to lock in the hurt lock, and Goldberg's going to pass out. It's like, like you're going to have to work really hard to fake that one. Make it seem like it's better than it really is. Cena, I don't think Reigns is going to have any issues whatsoever.
No. And the build up to that match, we're 4 or 5 weeks away from SummerSlam. The build up to that match where you have Cena that knows how to cut a promo, Reigns that knows how to cut a promo, Paul Heyman that knows how to cut a promo. Forget it. It's going to be crazy. And especially now that fans are back, it just adds so much more to it.
Yeah. All right, Roy. Now let's get to the stuff. What was the one thing that you could have done away with on this show? What didn't you like?
One thing, or I'll nitpick on one thing, and I know you're going to agree. And it was something that lasted 5 to 10 seconds, involving Selena Vega and Alexa Bliss and a ladder.
Thank you for mentioning it, because so I don't come off as the bitter asshole now.
What the was that? Look, I get it. In the Thunderdome, there's no fans, so you could kind of potentially try and get away with some stuff, but not in front of fans, please. That was useless. That was pointless. I thought Pat McAfee did a good job trying to sell it. The fact, they didn't really overemphasize on it, saying, oh, well, she's like hypnotized, and oh my God, Alexa Bliss has full control of her. I thought he did well on that. But if you're sitting there watching, like, if I'm a wrestling fan, you're a wrestling fan, but let's say you have a friend over, you have a buddy over who's maybe a casual fan or not really a fan of the product. And, what are they going to think if they see that?
I'd be embarrassed. To show anybody that. And that's the thing. I actually was, I have to say, I'm definitely not eating crow by any stretch here. And again, it was the first match, in front of the crowd that hasn't seen wrestling live in a long time. They know that they're seeing something special tonight. They know they're amped up for a good show. They were very forgiving on a lot of stuff tonight. And I was surprised at how good of a reaction Alexa Bliss got. But when she started that hypnotism shit, it was flatter than a pancake, man. It was just, and you could see the groans were starting, and then finally they just like cut it off like that. All right, that was enough. But people, that did not get them excited. Another thing, that they've been doing lately is getting Drew to do those stupid stories. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but like, he got booed tonight. He got booed when they showed him on the screen initially.
Yeah,
because they really just shit the bed on his character work in the last couple. It's ever since WrestleMania. They've done a horrible job with him. They've turned him into a whiny little bitch that just can't accept that he lost to Bobby Lashley, and he starts telling these psychotic stories about the Loch Ness Monster and William Wallace. And this past Monday, I couldn't believe my ears when he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you the story. I'm gonna tell you the story about Icarus and oh yeah, Slicky Icky." I was like, "Fucking Slicky Icky, huh? Like, what am I listening to?" And then he got booed, and I was like, "Oh, there's a big surprise." But he was really good. I actually had some John Cena vibes from Drew McIntyre, where Cena would walk out an arena and get booed out of the building, and then he'd cut a promo, and then he would just get them just riled up, really just bring them back into those things. Because he did a great job. He goes, "Oh, I know everybody's a big fan of Drew McIntyre's story time." And it was so tongue in cheek. He knows that everybody hates it. He knows that it's not working. And he goes, "Here's the story for you. I won Royal Rumble in Texas, and now I'm going to win Money in the Bank in Texas." I was like, "Fucking hey, that was a great promo. That was really good. You didn't need to do Sticky Icky or whatever the hell, and William Wallace and the Loch Ness Monster and his sword is carved from Thor's penis." It's I don't know what the hell's going on here. How many Scottish heroes can there be? Can we run out? Are we going to run out anytime soon? Because this has got to end. But there's been a lot of bad storytelling that they were forgiving tonight. They were forgiving tonight, but I think in a few weeks, once we level out,
once the novelty wears off, it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And, Alexa got cheered. Roman got cheered to a certain extent. Drew, you just mentioned it, some cheers. And even Lashley, Lashley was not really booed, despite the fact that he was up against Kofi and absolutely demolished the hell out of him. It's interesting. I hope creative's taking note. I hope Vince is taking note for what it's worth, because, the fans were there. Fans were in attendance tonight, and, it was obvious what they liked and what they didn't like. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Drew in particular moving forward. Hopefully not with Jinder Mahal.
Exactly. The Kingston match. That's not my least favorite, but I do want to mention that because I mean that was a good thing you just brought up there. I actually kind of liked that. You know that like the crowd was they were so into Kofi. It's like if you're gonna do this, I don't know if I'm breaking up or whatever right now. Am I all right? Okay, good. This thing like came up in the corner. It's like oh, my connection's bad. I was like, well, screw you. Anyway, like they're obviously setting up for Bill Goldberg. You know, like it's happening and whatever. You know, say what you want about it. I will say a lot about it probably tomorrow night with my wife on Post Raw. Make sure you tune in. But you couldn't have asked for a better scenario. They got so lucky with the setup for Goldberg tomorrow night. The crowd loved everything about Kofi Kingston. The pop he got, high-fiving people, just loving on Kofi. It was just everything that you could possibly want, and then send your big heel out there and fucking kill him. You know, like break their hearts. That's what you want, because now you want to see somebody. It doesn't matter if it's Oldberg, Gilberg, anybody. It could be Sonny Ono from WCW. It's like just send anybody out there to kill Bobby Lashley and they'll get cheered. It's like, you know, like in theory it should work. You know, you never know. You know, like with fans these days. But like that was like traditional, classic, old school angle to build up a match. I thought that was really well done too. But I had to pick Cena.
No, for sure, and I get it. And honestly, I had a feeling you were gonna pick Cena. That's kind of why I went with Big E for my pick. But you know, Cena definitely. I mean, and regarding the match, regarding Kofi and Lashley, fully agree. I thought they did a very, very good job. I thought commentary did a good job as well. You know, kind of mentioning, oh, you know, Lashley should just end it now. It's ridiculous. Is the referee thinking of ending it? So, you know, they knew what they were doing. And it just sucks it's going to be Goldberg. Yeah, I'm trying to stay optimistic about it. I'm trying to be happy, but
it's almost like a complete and total waste to like have an angle that good. And of course, we just got done gushing about John Cena, who'll be here for a month too. But it's like it's just different because Goldberg, you know, like it's going to be. He's not going to put a lot of effort into it. You know, Goldberg's there for the paycheck. You know, John Cena's there for passion, and I think that's really what it comes down to. I think it just comes down to like a passion thing. Like we all know. Say what you want about John Cena, you cannot deny his passion for the business. Goldberg, I'm not sure how much passion he has for wrestling as much as he has passion for getting a paycheck.
I agree, and I don't know if you've watched some of the Goldberg not documentary, but they had some specials up on him on the network a couple of months ago when he came back to face Drew McIntyre, and he just kept repeating, "Oh, when I first started off in the business, I didn't understand it, I didn't really like it. Now, as I got older, I enjoy it, I respect it, I love it, I this, I that." I'm like, yeah, man, that's bullshit. Like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that the fact that you were away for about 15 to 20 years, you suddenly found your passion for professional wrestling.
Right.
While you were away for 20 years? Sorry. Probably enjoyed the zeros that Vince is writing on your check.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think he really enjoys the fact that they became super profitable and they can just give him like a 7-figure payday to show up and squash Dolph Ziggler for 30 seconds, you know, like that's their thing. It's like, okay, I guess so. That's what we're going to do. It's a passion thing, you know. I think that's always going to be the criticism with Bill. You know, it's like, you know, he does those things. He's like, yeah, I think my contract is like one match, and I just have to make a few. I'm only contracted to make 2 appearances. It's like, wow, can't wait for those 2 appearances for you to build up your match, Bill. It's gonna be great. Yeah. Awesome.
And this is part of why. I promise I'm not going to go off topic, and I really promise on this. I rewatched the Bret Hart documentary, A&E. I watched it with Paul because he hadn't seen it. The A&E documentary, the Bret Hart one.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay. The new one.
The new one from like a couple of weeks ago, a month ago.
Whenever I hear Bret Hart documentary, my immediate thought is like Wrestling with Shadows. That's
Wrestling with Shadows. I know that like the back of my hand, that one. Thank you, Paul. It's well made. So, you know, I was watching with Paul, and something that Bret said, and he said it a billion times. He said Bill Goldberg was reckless. And if you watch his WCW run, you could tell no passion, no love for the business, didn't really care how his stuff looked as long as he looked good. And that's why tonight, when Cena came out, and then I'm like, shit, so we're actually going to get Goldberg tomorrow night. For whatever reason, my thoughts kind of went back to Goldberg in WCW and, the comments that Brett made. And it's true, because if you go back and watch his stuff, you can tell when he won the title and, jackhammers and this and that. He didn't care. He didn't care for the pop. He was in it for the money.
And he didn't care about the person he was in the ring with either.
No.
It's like he was going to make his stuff look good, and looking good was being more than snug, being violent sometimes. I actually thought that some of the things that he would do to some of those jobbers were it was miserable.
It was brutal.
Miserable to watch. Especially in hindsight, when you know all the stuff about CTE and things like that, it's like, it's kind of miserable to watch him work a little bit. Now I'm going to go with my thing that I liked the least about the show. It started at 8:00 Eastern, which I forget if Fort Worth is like an hour or two ahead or behind.
Let's Google this.
Yeah, you can find out. Yeah, you can find out. But I just thought, they went right back to that thing they were doing pre-pandemic, where it's like every pay-per-view has to go like 3.5 to 4 hours. This show would have been great. What's that?
They're 1 hour behind Eastern.
Okay. So they started at 7.
Yeah.
It's Sunday. It's Sunday. They could have rolled up everybody at 6 and started the show at 7 Eastern. And, because I was thinking, I was like watching John Cena come out. It's like around like 11:15 at night, Eastern Standard Time. I'm like, they just sat through a main event that was largely, for the most part, dull. It started off hot and actually got worse. And then they had the Seth Rollins interference, and on top of that, the Peacock, outages and stuff like that. How many people just like, okay, well, Reigns won, click, just like, all right, that's not wrestling for the night. And then they missed the John Cena thing. It's like, or even like, like you're following along on Twitter and it's like, all right, well, that's enough wrestling for me for tonight. And it's like, it's just going on too long. I thought that, like 2 weeks ago, they advertised AJ Styles and Omos versus the Viking Raiders to be on the first Raw in front of a crowd. So they go, in 2 weeks, AJ Styles and Omos defend the Raw Tag Team titles against the Viking Raiders. I was like, fine, like whatever, that'll, like it would never have stood out on Money in the Bank. So give it a chance to like, mean something on Raw, where like it doesn't have, like the WWE title's not always defended on Raw. So you have a Raw Tag Team title match and you can advertise it, make it mean something. So I was like, okay, I was all on board for that. Then inexplicably they add this match to the Money in the Bank card. And number one, it was a dud. It was just bad. There was one really cool spot where Omos throws AJ over the top rope. He lands on Eric and they do a Hurricane Rana spot. I thought that was really, really fresh, innovative, crisp, and again, a lot of room for error. It's pretty scary for AJ Styles to be doing that now, but he's a pro. But I was like, this match would have been good, I guess, at 4 minutes or 5 minutes. It went like 10 minutes. It felt like I don't know the exact official time. I can look it up, but it was like, did we really need to have that match tonight? Did that? Yeah. What value did that add to the card whatsoever? No. Oh my God, Roy! It went 13 minutes. It was worse.
Yeah, three times longer than it should have.
Way longer. Oh my God. And then even like the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley match, I actually thought their match at the end, the second half of their match was great. I thought the first half of the match was clunky, horrible, looked like they had no chemistry whatsoever, looked like they were on track to have a bad night, and then they fought through it and they actually came through with a really good match at the end of it. But I was like, that match went almost 17 minutes. And it would have been so much better if they could have knocked like 8 minutes off of that, 6 or 8 minutes, whatever it is, somewhere in that sweet spot there. Keep it to about 10, 12 minutes. Like that match didn't need to go that long. And it's like when it goes long like that, they're going to be doing chain wrestling. They're going to be doing this and that. I would have rather have given a little extra time to either the Money in the Bank match or just get it to the point where the pay-per-view could end at 11 o'clock instead of 11:15. And so nothing drags, but just felt like things were dragging tonight. And things were happening that didn't need to happen.
No, I agree. Like at one point, I thought you said 17 minutes for Charlotte and Rhea.
Yes.
I thought it was long. I thought it was longer than that. It felt longer than that.
I actually thought it was 25 minutes. I thought it was like close to a half hour. It was like
same.
Damn.
I feel like part of that is for two reasons. The fact that it's the first pay-per-view in front of a crowd, and I think they tried to give them, maybe a little bit more. And another thing is the fact that we were initially supposed to get Bayley versus Bianca Belair on this show, and the fact that they knocked this off, they probably thought, okay, well, now that match is off the card, we could give 3, 4, 5 minutes more for all the other matches, which should not have been the case. I mean, that main event, like you said, started off really strong, started off well, but you knock a good 5-8 minutes off that main event, and you're looking at a good match as opposed to like a decent match.
Right. I would have knocked 15. It went 33 minutes.
Holy shit.
Yes. It was like, and I think 10 of them was in the chin lock. It's like they could have knocked off 15 and that would have been a great match. It would have been fine.
I mean, the ending with Seth Rollins when he initially showed up and did the super kick, from there until the end of the match, that was probably at least 6 or 7 minutes.
Right. And it was just like, oh my God, it was so predictable. If you're going to do 33 minutes and it's that predictable, like maybe reconsider going 33 minutes. It just, like things were just dragging. Like it's like, there's no like time requirement on these things. Yes, I think they should go more than 2 hours, maybe more than 2.5 hours. But 3 is like the sweet spot. I don't think anybody ever left an arena, during their really hot phase, in the late 90s, early 2000s, and said like, oh gee, I fucking got ripped off. I spent $300, for a couple tickets, and the damn show went 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's like, no. Because they gave them quality stuff. It's like, oh man, God, Steve Austin was fucking awesome tonight. And the crowd was never burned out. There were multiple times tonight where it was just like the crowd was just gone. They were just dead. Yeah. And that shouldn't be. They should have been able to maintain the excitement all throughout. And the way you do that is you don't make them tired. I was getting flashbacks. I remember I was telling Vin and Victoria, I was like, God, like they're going to go right back to their old line of thinking where it's like WrestleMania needs to be 8 hours because we're having flashbacks to WrestleMania 35 in Jersey where it was 8 hours in that damn seat. That's way too long to be sitting at a wrestling show. Way too long.
It is. Is tomorrow's show in Fort Worth as well?
It's in Dallas, and they announced that John Cena's kicking off the show.
All right, so there you go. At least you're getting something good out of it tomorrow.
Right. I'm extremely excited about this for tomorrow. I think it's gonna be great. But like the show, and I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy the show. I really enjoyed tonight's show. I just thought, there were just things that just went way too long, things that didn't need to be on the card at all. And you could have done that. You could have ended the show at 10:30. I think people would have been ecstatic with what they got tonight. Yeah.
I mean that Raw tag team match, sure, it was fine. Like when AJ's music hit, he got a pretty loud pop. He got a loud pop, and that just shows you how, I don't want to say how badly they're using him, but
I thought so.
They could use him much better than they're using him now. I mean, whenever I think of Raw or the tag champions, I honestly struggle to remember that it's AJ Styles holding one of the titles. I'm like,
me too.
Who is it?
And that guy Omos he was so overexposed in that match too, because he got in the ring. It was just like everything's like in slow motion. These big power displays they're supposed to do, they come off clunky. They mistimed the finish. It was like, oh God, there's nothing worse than, when you're doing a lifting move on a guy and it's like, okay, I'm going to start lifting and the other guy didn't jump yet. So it's like, it's like, it's fake. I know, but like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's you don't leave Omos in a 12-minute match. Omos, like When AJ Styles tagged him in at the beginning of the match, I was like, oh my God, they're going to end the match in a minute and a half. They're going to have Omos squash them, and that'll be the end of it. Because the Viking Raiders got no reaction whatsoever. And I can't believe that because they booked them so well. I'm lying. They booked them like shit. They booked them like shit.
I mean, yeah. I was going to say, I'm like, wait, is Mike, are you drinking something? Are you on something right now? But
no, they look like shit.
Yeah, it's they haven't done a good job with the tag division on Raw. Trust me, they're not that much better on SmackDown. But it's just, I don't know what they're doing. Like AJ, if you take AJ out of the tag team division, who the hell do they have? And even with AJ, if you really think of it, there's no one.
Right. I mean, they just went through the Viking Raiders. I guess more Viking Raiders. I guess I don't know.
More Viking Raiders. It's not going to be the New Day.
No, it's not. I mean, maybe it is. I mean, Kingston got so royally squashed, but I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, that was my big bugaboo. You know, I guess other things were like, you know, like again, like there was a lot of like near crash and burn moments, like when Nikki Cross dove into the ring from that ladder on the outside. Oh my God,
I hate when they do that.
Scary. It's like, how did that happen?
I don't know. And one of the biggest things I hate in wrestling, and I know it's fake and they have to catch them, and trust me, I get it. And I guess it was maybe AEW that made me hate it the most. It's kind of continued. It's when you have the wrestler just kind of literally just standing there watching the guy on the top rope waiting to catch him. I'm like, dude, yeah, you see him, you're looking at him. And we had that instant tonight where it was with Nikki Cross, where she was jumping from the ladder to the ring, and everyone was there, and they're just kind of looking at her and fighting and standing. And, you know, production-wise, they cut the camera to a different angle, so you don't see them standing. But, like, come on, they got to stop that. They really have to stop it.
The camera cuts, too. Oh, my God.
It was rough.
17,000 camera cuts on this show. It was like, you know, like you need to take a motion sickness pill, you know, when you're watching the broadcast, because it's always like blip, 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 blip. That's why, like, I didn't really like that. Like when Peacock was like really spazzing out, it didn't really bother me because I'm used to 17,000 camera cuts anyway. I was like, I can almost make out what's going on in the show right now. I swear to God.
the only time. Because you guys mentioned, or when I was on Twitter, people talking about Peacock and kept cutting and this and that. And for us, it was every maybe 5 or 10 minutes, the image would stand still for about half a second or a second, and then we'd go back to live. The only time we ever went black was when Charlotte Flair gave the finger.
Yes. Yeah, we went
black. But I thought that was intentional.
Yeah. Well, they were chanting for Becky Lynch, and that's why she flipped them off. I thought that was I actually kind of like that. It was kind of edgy. They're making a good point in the chat, you know, about RK Bro. That, you know, like, can we just have them in the titles? Where the hell's Randy Orton been? That's what I want to know. But
taking some time off, I guess. I mean, maybe now that they're going back on the road, he said, "Fuck this! I'm going to stay home for the next couple of weeks."
but overall, you know, right? Like, it was a good show. You know, I like I was saying, I got the goosebumps twice. You know, I felt, you know, like it dragged a few times, but I mean, it ended on a high note, and I'm amped up still. You know, an hour and a half after the show ended, that you know, that Cena's back, and like they're like, it just seems like things are going well. So I want to ask the chat room, and I want to ask you, Roy. It's an easy answer. I think I already know your answer, but what do you give the show? Thumbs up?
A thumbs up. No, it's got to be a thumbs up. A lot of stuff. Even if John Cena would not have shown up, you have Big E that won Money in the Bank, and it was a very good match. In general, the matches, I didn't think. Yeah, I mean, obviously, several of them dragged on, but I didn't think anything was really bad enough to warrant a thumbs down. So for me, it was a thumbs up, and the fact that Cena was there, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
My only question is, I don't know if I would have given this a thumbs up if it was in the Thunderdome.
Even if Cena came back?
If Cena's back, it's a thumbs up in the Thunderdome. But if Cena doesn't come back and we get what we got in the Thunderdome, then I'd be thinking twice about it.
Yeah, that's so weird. I didn't actually think about that. How would the show have come up in the Thunderdome?
Because, and I'm not trying to shit on the product, because obviously we do that enough times as it is. But, you know, recently the pay-per-views in the Thunderdome have been good. I've actually enjoyed them. Yeah. But tonight in particular, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. I of course I give it a thumbs up. I think even without Cena, it gets a thumbs up. I mean, they're at least doing some stuff again. Like like the one major criticism is it's like always like the same people and stuff like that. There was a lot of people that had chances to shine tonight. Even like Ricochet had his moments to shine. Nikki Ash. Like I think the gimmick sucks. I think they're doing her a huge disservice. They changed her name because they're going to call it Karrion Kross, and they probably don't want to have two crosses on the same brand. But again, fresh face, unexpected, big surprise. Is she going to wind up like Otis? Is she going to win the title? I don't know. I don't think the women's title is like held with as much regard as it was a few years ago. So maybe they don't care. There's like, oh, well, let's put on Nikki Ass and it'll be fine, whatever. Big E, new star. I mean, he's been around for a long time. He's been around 10 years. I think it's been 10 years since his call up. 10 years this year. I think he got called up at the Slammy Awards in 2011. So it's his 10th year, and they're finally gonna give him a go. I think that's a great move. John Cena, can't give it a thumbs down. Just can't.
No. And even let's see. Even Andrew writes it in the chat. He said, "Can't believe I'm hyped for Raw." When was the last time we can say that? I'm
hyped for Raw. I want that known right now. I want everybody to remember this moment right now. It's 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for me.
Yeah.
Just remember this when I'm talking at 1:01 tomorrow. That I said I was excited for this Raw.
You're hyped.
I'm hyped. That's why I am such I'm just like a battered dog at this point where it's just like, oh, there's a treat. I don't care if my master punches me in the face all the time. It's like, I'm all right, let's go. One good wrestling show can turn it all around for me sometimes. It's and tonight's show was just great. And hearing people, seeing people enjoying it, it kind of gives you like a fresh perspective too. Because I was watching people clap for Alexa Bliss, and I was like, oh well, they're being forgiving. But at the same time, I'm like, well, okay, so like when they did the Johnny Drip Drip thing, when they chanted Johnny Drip Drip, and I fucking hate everything about Johnny Drip Drip. That nickname, the whole gimmick. And then he pulled out the drip stick and sprayed Nakamura.
That was hilarious. I liked it. I legit laughed at that.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like the crowd actually gave me like a new perspective on it. It's like hey, you know what? Maybe I'm just being a fucking curmudgeon right now.
Nah, it's and this is not just you, it's myself. Sometimes I am overly cynical. Where they do something like, yeah, I know how it's gonna end. It's gonna be piss poor. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. But then when, like you said, you get the fans' perspective, and you're like, well, you know what? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on this.
Maybe there's something that I'm missing. Maybe it's just not for me. Yeah. But that actually seemed to be working, and I was pleasantly surprised by that.
And the crowd shots in particular, I loved. Like the fans that were angry, you saw like, holy crap, they're pissed off. Or, holy crap, they're happy, and the little kids and this and that. And you're like, you know what? I miss having that feeling. I miss being that kid with the pop, or I miss being the audience watching. And even at one point, we're at the start of the main event. Let's go Roman. Let's go Edge. Let's go Roman.
I was just gonna bring that up. It's like you read my mind right there. That was actually one of my favorite parts. Is hearing the dueling chants again.
Yeah.
I think I even put it in the recap. I think I even said like, oh, there's dueling chants in the. What was it? Yes. The crowd starts up the dueling chants of "Let's go Roman, let's go Edge." I missed that. I actually had to put that in the recap.
There you go.
but obviously 33 minutes after I wrote that, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Cena. It's like totally
forgot all about it.
Exactly.
But that's
another treat for me.
There you go. Another bait for next week. For next week for tomorrow's show.
That's it. Time for me to be a sucker once again.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's a great show.
We've spoken about this several times on the post shows, but it's always a matter of how do you feel about the show in general, or is it how the ending of the show makes you feel, right? Because this could have been a train wreck of a show. It wasn't. This could have been a train wreck of a show, but the fact that Cena came back at the end probably would have left you or I or anyone else been like, you know what? Yeah, that was a pretty good show. Why? Because I'm leaving feeling good about it.
Right. Hey, that lasting impression sometimes. I've seen good shows be spoiled by a totally horrible ending.
Yeah. Same.
But again, I've seen some stuff that it's like the middle of the show was so good, it's like I can't possibly give this a thumbs down, But a lot of times, that feeling that you get at the end of it, that's the lasting one. So sometimes it's not fair, but that's
how it is.
That's Hollywood, man. That's rock and roll. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to watching Raw tomorrow night. I really am, and I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I can't wait to I can't wait to get back doing the post Raw show again with Victoria, and I can't wait to get you back on SmackDown and hear you talk about the SmackDowns again in another week, right?
Yeah, I'm not there this week, but next week will be good for me. Yeah, I'm gonna be back, and as much like I wanted to be back a couple of days ago, obviously fans are back and it was a good show, and next week, but for personal reasons they can't make it. But the week after that, I'm back.
But you do a great show, sir. And I think if I do say something myself, I think we had a good review here tonight. So I think make sure you subscribe to the Wrestleview YouTube channel if you liked what you saw. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't done that already. So make sure you please do that. I'm gonna get to bed so I can be extra amped up for tomorrow evening. If it's really good, you're gonna see me all happy. And if there's something that I don't like, the mic rants are gonna be on.
It'll be good for the simple fact that it could be. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be a shit show, but fans will make it tolerable. So that's like worst case scenario.
I'm going to be very forgiving tomorrow. I've determined I'm just going to try to be as forgiving as possible. But if Drew McIntyre brings out another fucking story, you're going to hear a rant. Okay.
That's fair.
All right, Roy. Thanks so much for doing this with me tonight. It was always great to sit on a podcast with you and chat with you for a little bit about wrestling. So thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me, Mike. Thanks, buddy. Always fun. Pleasure's always mine. And thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And it looks like the overall consensus on the show, by the way, I asked the chat, and they said thumbs up. Thumbs up. I can finally see Cena, which is Daniel Shell, way up for Billy Hefner. Michelle Walsh with a thumbs up. Andrew Elder's thumbs up. Andrew Elder thumbs up for Alexa stripping. People like that. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I got a pop. Even Pat McAfee got a pop for that.
I'm going to watch that again. We'll see. When Victoria goes, of course. All right, everybody. I'm Mike Tedesco.
And
that's Roy Nemer.
I'm Roy Nemer, and this is the Wrestleview Live, number 91.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.